My name is Rag Reynolds and welcome back to Medium Rare, and today this is the first edition of a new series I'm starting called Why Twitter Sucks. And yeah, Twitter does suck in a lot of ways. I actually also like Twitter quite a bit. It's probably my second favourite social media after Instagram, although I actually use it more than I use Instagram. But basically what we're going to be doing in this series is I'm going to be covering different trends and different stories that I see popping up on Twitter every now and again. And we're going to also check in and see what the general public and people on Twitter are saying about that individual story or trend. So the first thing we have today is something that I'm sure everyone has heard something about, and it's this whole Not My Ariel thing. So if you don't know, basically this girl, Halle Bailey, has been cast to play Ariel in the upcoming live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. And obviously the girl is black, and people are not very happy about that. People all over Twitter are saying, not my Ariel. So let's have a look at what people are saying on Twitter. So immediately, the first thing I see is there's this image, and someone's trying to point out. So here we have Belle, and Belle was cast in very similar, Emma Watson playing Belle. We have the copy of Cinderella. We have the copy of, I don't actually know who that one at the top right is. Maybe I'm just uncultured. Maybe I'm terrible. Yeah, I'm terrible. I'll just say I'm terrible. We have Jasmine there, even though I personally thought the Jasmine one was a bit weird because the whole Aladdin movie was supposed to be Arabic, to my knowledge, and it was an Indian actress who then ended up playing Jasmine, and there were a lot of Indian actors and actresses throughout the movie. But if I'm wrong about that, please someone feel free to correct me. Here you see Mulan, accurate casting, Maleficent, Mowgli from the Jungle Book, and then someone has obviously put this Halle Bailey next to Ariel and says there's a huge difference there, whereas the rest of these, they all at least look a bit similar. So I mean, yeah, I can understand the criticism there. For me personally, before we get on to anything else, I don't care that Ariel is black. Like, I really do not care. I think that when it comes to casting characters, if a character has to be a certain race or a certain culture, whatever, because that is specifically part of their story and their arc and their background, then sure, I think that that character should be that. Like, for example, you couldn't cast Black Panther as a white guy. I mean, being black is part of the identity. The whole premise of it is that he is this black guy, he's from Wakanda, etc. But when it's something like Ariel, I know people have argued it's Danish culture, but no, she's a bloody mermaid. She's a mermaid in the ocean. Who really cares? It's irrelevant. I can agree that it's not necessarily a great thing if people are forcing diversity. Like if, say there were two candidates and there was a white girl and the white girl was better, but for the sake of diversity they went with a black girl. I think that's wrong. But in general, I think the best person for the job, whoever's best in the role, whoever auditions the best, should get it. And there's no indication anywhere that this isn't what happened with Halle Bailey. So I have no problem with Halle Bailey being the Little Mermaid, and I think she'll probably do wonderful. I mean, people have been talking, I'm sure we might see some of this as I'm scrolling down Twitter. People are saying she's a great singer, so maybe she'll do great because The Little Mermaid has a lot of songs in it. So that should be a positive thing from her being cast in the role since she's a singer. Dear Not My Ariel people, you're right. She's not your Ariel because it's someone else's turn to see themselves in The Little Mermaid. You've had yours. So y'all are mad about Jason Momoa, who is Hawaiian and brunette, playing Aquaman even though the character was originally written as a blonde Caucasian. No, then shut up about Halle Bailey playing Ariel and this Not My Ariel garbage. Diversity is key, people. Get on board. I get where this person's coming from. I do think there's a bit of a difference there though. I mean, I think what they've done with Jason Momoa is a hugely different take on Aquaman, not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I guess I agree for the most part. Sorry to say this is not my Ariel. I'm not racist, but this is out of my expectations. Wanting a red-haired actress for Ariel isn't racism. I have seen a lot of people say that anyone saying not my Ariel is being racist. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think there's anyone being racist by saying they think that it should be a white person or anything. I don't think that's racist at all. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are saying it with racist intentions or who are racist and that's why they're saying it, but I think simply being on the Not My Ariel side doesn't make you inherently racist. It's just that you would prefer a character to be the way it was when the movie came out originally. I can understand that people who grew up with certain characters in certain movies, they want that character to then be represented exactly as it was in the future. You get this all the time when books are adapted into movies or television, and it might not be the colour of the skin, but with certain physical features, people are always very upset if it doesn't match. For example, Tom Cruise starring in the recent Jack Reacher movies. People were very upset about that because in the books, Jack Reacher is this big, tall guy, and in real life Tom Cruise is quite short. So that's one example of when people were just really, really upset that the character they had known and loved from a book had then been changed. And maybe that's a bigger deal because obviously it's an action movie and Tom Cruise is a small guy, so maybe it's not as realistic to see him in those sort of fight scenes or whatever. But I think it still comes from the same sort of sentiment of people know a character as a certain way, it looks a certain way in their head, and they don't want anyone to change that. Okay, but all these racist asses with that Not My Ariel thingy, and I'm just here wishing Idris Elba as Triton. Am I right? He could be a good Triton, actually. I would not be opposed to that. Every time to say, not my Ariel, you're exposing your ugliness, may it stain you forever. You all hate Ariel being played by a black woman, but don't mind every Egyptian in media being played by white people. Hashtag not my Ariel. And we're gonna stop looking at the tweets there. I think you get the point here. And as I said, I really don't care. I don't care that Ariel has been cast as a black girl. I think she's going to do a great job, and I'll wait and I'll see the movie before I judge her on the performance or whether or not she's a good Ariel. If she's good, I'll say that she's good, and if she's bad, I'll say that she's bad. I don't think the look of her is going to really push me one way or another. But the recurring thing I am seeing here when I scroll down tweets is that people who are against the Not My Ariel thing seem to be quite angry about it. They seem to be assuming that everyone for Not My Ariel is a racist, and they seem very worked up and angry about that. And I would like to say to those people directly, maybe you shouldn't be so angry about it, because like I've just scrolled down a bunch of tweets there, and I've not seen a single tweet of anyone actually being racist. I've not seen a single tweet of anyone actually being hateful towards Halle Bailey. I mean, I'm sure they are out there. I'm sure if I kept scrolling I would find one or two. I'm sure I would find them. But it seems to me like a lot of people are making this a bigger thing than it actually is. And that goes for the other side as well, the Not My Ariel people. I don't think it's a big deal that Ariel has been cast as a black girl, but the internet will make anything into a big deal, so that's not surprising at all. Anyway, I think we all need to be a bit more open-minded and just actually listen to what the other side has to say rather than just judging each other. Rather than the Not My Ariel side saying, oh, this is just about identity politics and people trying to force diversity. Instead, maybe just listen to what the other side have to say, and maybe it's not all that. Maybe it is that, but maybe it's not all that. And for the people who are against Not My Ariel, stop assuming that everyone's racist that says Not My Ariel. I'm sure some people are racist, but there's always people in the middle, and I think we have to be a bit more reasonable here instead of just immediately shunning everyone who's on the other side of the argument. So the next story we're talking about is the ice cream challenge, and if you don't know what that is, here we go. It's this woman here started this thing where she licked the ice cream and did the store and she put it back. Disgusting. And this has been a challenge that has been ongoing, and lots of other people have been doing it. And this woman is now facing jail time because she has been tampering with food, and that is a federal offence. Now this one has sparked a lot of quite amusing reactions. We have other people online who are doing spoofs. For example, we see this guy here, guess I'll join in too, and he just buys the ice cream because he's being a civilized human being. Oh, and I think this one, she did it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, you dumb. Why did. I hate people. Can you imagine doing this? Like, how inconsiderate of other human beings do you have to be to do something like this? It's not funny. It's not cute. It is disgusting. And it is a health hazard, and you're just a gross person if you ever do anything like this. Like, seriously, it's not funny, it's not a prank, it's not a joke, it's disgusting. If I see anyone doing that stupid ice cream challenge while I'm at the store, I'm snitching, I don't care. And I agree, everyone should bloody snitch on this because it's disgusting and it's not acceptable, not at all. Uh-oh, is this going to be another one? No. She's actually... Okay. Good job taking the ice cream. Buy it. Good job. Here we see a tweet from Keemstar. saying the girl doing the ice cream challenge is facing 20 years in prison. And I think rightfully so. I mean, I'm not sure she should actually get 20 years in prison. She is just probably a dumb teenager or whatever. I don't know how old she is. But I don't think anyone deserves 20 years in prison just for doing something stupid. I mean, it's very serious, and she definitely deserves the scare. She deserves to face consequences. But 20 years in prison, essentially ruining the girl's whole life, is probably not an adequate punishment. Oh no. What's he doing? Is he sticking his... Is he going to put that back? Oh, this is terrible. What? Okay, that one was bad, but I actually don't think it's quite as bad, because he didn't even put the lid back on. No one's going to buy that. Like, no one's going to open that freezer door and take that ice cream out and put it in their cart and then take it to the checkout and buy it and eat it. No one's going to do that because it's already open. It's clearly got chunks out of it, whatever. I think the licking one is far worse because someone's licking it and putting the lid back on and putting it in, and no one's ever going to know that you licked it. Like, you couldn't just open the ice cream and know that someone had licked that. You wouldn't know. People would just take it home and eat it. It doesn't look any different. The lid's still on it. No one knows. Whereas at least with this, I guess it's more just stealing, because you've essentially just taken some of the product and thrown it back in. I don't think it's quite as bad. It's still not good, but it's not quite as bad. I would like to know why there are ice cream tubs out there that don't actually have any better packaging. Like, why is it that you just do that and the ice cream is there? Like, I've never seen that before. Normally, if I open a tub of ice cream, there's maybe like some plastic bit around it you have to peel off first, like you have to break a seal, or then once you open it, there's a bit of paper or something you have to rip off. Like, I've never seen any ice cream where it's literally just take off a cardboard lid and the ice cream is there. Like, I've actually had a milkshake like that once out of a store and I wouldn't drink it. Most drinks, like if you open a bottle top, like I've got one right here, I've got this thing, and obviously there's plastic around here, but even without that plastic, there's still foil. There's foil here, and you pull the foil off, and I won't drink anything unless it has that sort of foil on it. I did once buy a milkshake, maybe a couple of years ago, and I just unscrewed it, and that was it open, and I did feel a bit weird about it. Normally, if they don't have foil or whatever, it's more like these plastic bottles, and it's got this little seal here, so you can see that the little plastic seals are broken once someone has opened it. But this ice cream in these videos, I don't understand. It's just an American thing that the food hygiene standards are different. Someone please let me know in the comments, because that is not very good. Anyway, the next story we have here is air conditioning is unhealthy, bad, miserable, and sexist. I can't explain how many times I've gotten sick over the summer because of overzealous air conditioning in offices. So this woman has written an article for the New York Times condemning air conditioning and essentially has started saying the air conditioning is sexist. Because during the summer months, men in offices tend to be much warmer than women for whatever reason, and men will control the air conditioning, which then results in the women being much colder and freezing. I must say right off the bat, I think this is ridiculous to say that air conditioning is sexist. I mean, I'm pretty sure I heard someone make this argument a few years back. I'm sure this was a thing, but it's back again, and I never spoke about it back then, so I'm happy to speak about it now. But to call air conditioning sexist because women are colder than men or whatever, oh, shut up. Put on a sweater. Put on a jacket, put on longer trousers or something. There are lots of things you can do to keep yourself warm. And you could argue, oh, well, why don't the men wear shorts? Why don't the men buy their own little desk fans or whatever? And I tend to think, well, number one, it is much easier to warm up than it is to cool down. I mean, have you ever tried to go to bed in the middle of summer and you've not got air conditioning? Like here in Scotland, I don't have air conditioning in my bedroom. No normal person just has air conditioning. I mean, we're not a very hot country. But when it comes to summer, sometimes we get really hot, humid summer nights. Not often, but we do get them. And those are the worst nights of the year. It's horrible because there is no way to actually cool down. All we can do is get out a fan, and even then it's not that great. It'll cool you down when it's on you, but it's just not that great. Whereas, see if you're too cold, and it's in the winter months, all you do is you get an extra blanket out. You get some extra covers. You put some socks on. You put an extra layer on. Warming up, to me anyway, always seems much more practical than cooling down. Warming up just seems much easier to do. Even stuff like getting a hot drink to warm up your hands and to warm your throat and just warm your insides up. Warming up to me has always seemed much more simple. If I had to choose between being too hot or too cold, I would always choose to be too cold, because I always think that warming is easier than cooling. And also, in addition to that, I think these people are also arguing that these offices or whatever are dominated by men, and that's why men are controlling the air conditioning. Well, I think that's fair enough. If the majority of people are too hot, then it makes sense to put the air conditioning on. Why would you put the air conditioning off and make the majority of people be too hot and inconvenience the majority? In general, you should go with what the majority wants. Saying AC is sexist sounds kinda silly and simplistic, but this is the key point. If there's only one setting that was chosen by a man set to a temperature that more men and fewer women will find comfortable, then yes, it's sexist. No, it's not. This woman doesn't represent anyone but herself. I may not like my AC under 70 degrees, but Jesus, tap dancing Christ. AC is sexist? No, absolutely effing not. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. That's a good one. Jesus out here like happy feet. Just read a tweet that the use of AC in the office is sexist. Why? Because she wants to be able to dress anyhow she wants, and men who obviously have more clothing on want to use the AC. Go to Super and buy cardigan, Nitori Oloran. Must everything be gender war? Welcome to 2019 America, where AC is sexist and the word obese is a racial slur. Yeah, I heard about that racial slur thing, and I'm not even getting into that because that hurts my head, okay? If AC is sexist against women in the summer, heating in winter is big inconvenience for men, whose professional attire dictates more skin coverage. Can we agree in the event of temperature dispute to use whichever requires less energy? I don't know if that was just me or if that didn't read right. AC isn't sexist. Clothing policy that forces women to wear skirts when there's AC is sexist. Don't talk out of your ass and make feminism look stupid. We already have enough crap to deal with. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that 100%, but yes, I think that a policy about being forced to wear a skirt is certainly more problematic than air conditioning. Anyway, it's time we move to our final story of the video, and it is all about Facebook, actually. This is a Twitter video, but we're talking about Facebook. So essentially, Facebook has come out with these new policies where death threats and threats of violence are now okay against certain groups of people. So if we have a look here at what is actually going on, it says, do not post threats that could lead to death and other forms of high severity violence of any targets where the threat is defined as any of the following: statements of intent to commit high severity violence, or calls for high severity violence unless the target is an organization or individual covered in the Dangerous Individuals and Organizations policy, or is described as having carried out violent crimes or sexual offences wherein criminal predator status has been established by media reports, market knowledge of news events, etc. So essentially, if the media has reported on an individual or organization as dangerous in some sort of way, if it's someone who's carried out a violent crime or a sexual offence, and that has been established in the media, then it is okay to hurl death threats and threats of violence at them. This seems not so great to me. I would think that death threats in general would be bad no matter who they were against. I can at least understand some outrage and people saying, oh, I want to kill this guy, or I'm going to beat you up, if you're talking about like a paedophile or something that has just been sentenced for raping little kids or something. But that has to be something that is 100% true. But the problem is, there is no real way to guarantee that those are the only people who are going to be the ones receiving those sort of threats. And when you set these boundaries, who is the one deciding? You're saying the media is essentially deciding. If the media says this person is dangerous, this person is this, then it's okay to hurl death threats at them. So you're just going to let the media decide? The media who clearly are biased, the media who clearly are filled with corruption, that media, the media who fail to report things accurately or fairly 99% of the time, you're going to let that media decide who's dangerous and who can receive death threats or not? Give me a break. That is ridiculous. Facebook issues new policy, bans death threats or statement that could lead to violence or death. Great. Facebook, unless mumble. Wait, Facebook, like, violence and death threats against Nazis are okay? Facebook says, yeah. Who's a Nazi? Facebook, whoever the media tells us. And that's just it, because everyone's a Nazi these days, apparently. Under Facebook's new rules, you are now allowed to send death threats to anyone flying the Antifa symbol. What the F was Facebook thinking? It also explicitly bans all Antifa symbols and prays for Antifa. Facebook is encouraging violent extremism. Beyond Orwellian now? All the complaining about how this person or that person was getting death threats and nothing would happen. Now they just put it in writing. If you hate Milo Yiannopoulos, go ahead and wish him death. Same with Trump and Steven Crowder. I'm sure this will in no way backfire on the groups it is intended to shield from consequence. Of course they can brand organizations or individuals as dangerous, then utterly destroy them online while simultaneously removing their ability to defend themselves in the public sphere. These social media giants are a dystopian nightmare unfolding before our eyes. Basically, we will ban whoever the media tells us to because we think that's how to save face, even though old media is our competition, and this is suicide. Can I be in charge of the list? Making the media and news events as the authority of truth is insanity. Facebook continued to model its policies on US political sensibilities, forgetting that the rest of the world, people don't endorse their extreme left rantings and perennial offence, and allowing death threat is a crime. Established by the media, not any legitimate law enforcement. The media? What? I share that sentiment entirely. This is absolutely insane. Something, there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. God, this is going to end badly for some poor bastard. Why on earth would they think an otherwise reasonable policy on threats needed an exception for acceptable targets? Can't we at least pretend to have principles, guys? I agree with most of the tweets I'm reading, and most people seem to be in agreement that it's not really a good thing to allow certain people to be the subject of death threats just because the media determines that those people are dangerous or deserving of it. I can't believe Facebook are doing... I can believe it, you know, that's the sad part. I can believe that Facebook are doing it, and maybe that makes it worse. I can believe it. It's very sad. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's all I want to talk about for this video. This was why Twitter sucks. If there's anything else you would like to see me talk about in future, if you have any opinion about this series, if you'd like to see more videos like this, then let me know in those comments down below. But until next time, everybody, this was Medium Rare. My name is Rag Reynolds, and you're welcome, society.